What's up everyone? Welcome back to my channel. So today I will be doing a little tutorial solely focused on how to do winged liner. I really felt like I needed to do a separate video for this technique because there are several little tips and tricks to kind of go over that can really help you to perfect your wing. Now I do talk at the end of the video about how the best thing that you can do with winged liner is practice. However, there are definitely little tips and tricks and techniques that will help you to perfect that, but you'll still have to practice those techniques, but they will definitely help you now and in the long run. So yeah, that's pretty much it. We're gonna create these wings right here, so let's just get into it. Okay, so my favorite thing for winged eyeliner is to use the Kat Von D tattoo liner. Now I like this one over the ink liner because this one is actually not a felt tip. It's shaped like a felt tip, but it's actually little tiny bristles. Excuse my nails again. I know I need to do them or get them done or whatever, but it's actually little tiny bristles. Like I can stick my finger here and just kind of separate the bristles so you can kind of see how it's like little bristles. So with that, I feel like I can get a lot more precise with it. However, the downside of this one in particular is that I feel like it dries out faster than a felt tip, and I'm not sure why that is, but yes. I would use this for the whole wing, but since this one dries out fast and I want to preserve it as long as possible because it's not cheap, it's $20. So, I mean, it's not like the most expensive, but it's also not like, it's not like it's $5, you know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna start my liner off with the Ciate London Fierce Flicks, and then I'll just use the tattoo liner for the precision part of the wing because that's what I like it for anyways. So I'm gonna get my her out of the way. Did I just say her? I hate it when people say that. Why did I just say that? My mascara is smudging all over me because what else is new? If you have watched my videos before, you probably know that every mascara in the world smudges on me, so it's just what I live with. Do I hate it? Yes. Okay, so my biggest tip whenever you're doing winged liner is to make sure that you anchor your hand on your cheek. By anchoring your finger, like your pinky or your hand, whatever you want to do, it stabilizes the hand so that you have a much more steady hand and you're not just going in with like moving, trying to hold your arm up like this. Resting your hand here like this and kind of reaching in, or with your pinky. I typically use my pinky so I have a bit more reach. Really helps to stabilize the hand so you get a smoother line. Second thing, do not close your eyes whenever you're doing winged liner, especially if you have mature eyes, because whether you have mature skin or not, whenever you close your eyes, it like crinkles up a little bit and you're not going to get a perfectly smooth line, and you're going to spend a lot of time trying to smooth out that line with your eyes closed, and your wing's just going to get out of control. So those are my two biggest tips. Stabilize your hand and do not close your eyes. What you want to do is look down. If you have a handheld mirror, whether it's a handheld mirror by itself or you want to use one of your palette mirrors or whatever, it's the best thing that you can do. Or even if you don't want, I was scratching my nose. Or even if you don't want to use a handheld mirror, you can always just use your bathroom mirror. Just make sure that you tilt your head back and look down into the mirror. It'll really help you to kind of see the line that you're trying to make without your eyes wrinkling up. And this is just whenever you're working on the top of the eye. Whenever we get to the wing portion, like actually creating the wing, we're going to change our positioning a little bit, and I will talk you through that. But another thing, whenever you're doing it with a felt tip or even like one of the dip liquid liners, do not go straight in like this. Do not use it like you would with a pen. What you want to do is utilize the shape of the felt tip or the shape of the wand, whatever you're using, because these ones are a certain shape for a reason. They come to a point for a reason. It helps you create the shape for you rather than you trying to do it all on your own. So what I'm gonna do is start on the inner corners, and I'm using very light pressure. Starting out as close to the lash line as possible, and as you can see, I'm laying it on its side and doing little pulling motions outwards. Notice how I'm looking down into my mirror. Keeps my eye nice and flat without any wrinkles. Now, even with all these tips, please keep in mind that your best friend is going to be practiced with this. So I just got an Apple Watch and it just sent me a reminder to take a minute to breathe, and that just melted my heart a little bit. I was like, oh. I still am exploring the wonders of an Apple Watch. I have no idea what all it is capable of, but I'm pretty excited about it. Anyways, so now we're starting to get our line. What was I saying? Oh, practice. Yeah, I'll go more into that in a little bit. But if you have mature eyes, you might actually have to pull a little bit on the outer corner to smooth out that eyelid so that you can get a really nice smooth line. However, I don't like to encourage that, so I would try to get a smooth line without it. But if you do feel like you need to, I never want to encourage tugging on the eyes, but if it's just every once in a while for a special event, you want to just pull a little bit to really smooth out that eye area so that you can get a nice tight smooth line, you can do that. That is definitely an option. However, I do encourage as minimal tugging on the eyes as possible, period, with anything that you're doing in life. So and what I like to do is, while I'm creating the line on the top, I will look at myself straight ahead in the mirror, and that will allow me to see, okay, do I like how much space the line is taking up on my face? If I do, then I will stop there and move on to the other eye. Now, I do know that on this eye, it droops a little bit more, like my crease droops down a little bit more, so I have a little bit less lid space. Nothing that's crazy or noticeable, but I have noticed it. And so with that, we can do a little bit of a thinner line. It's kind of like doing your brows. Your eyes aren't exactly the same, so your eyeliner is gonna have to be slightly tweaked to each eye. So don't worry about it exactly perfectly matching. You just want it to be balanced, just like your brows. So doing the same thing. Now I had my hand like this, and now to go to the other side, I'm flipping my hand over and stabilizing my hand on my cheek. Starting on the inner corner again. And the thinner I want my line, the less pressure I'll have, because the way that these are designed is that the lighter the pressure you put on it, the thinner the line will be, and then more pressure, thicker line. So keep that in mind as well. So now I'm looking at it straight ahead. I can see I have a lot more space on this side than I do on this side, and more space just overall, so I'm gonna thicken the line a little bit. So now I'm looking at it straight ahead in the mirror again, and I like how much space I have between on each side. And also keeping in mind that whenever I create the wing, the line might get a little bit thicker, because that's just how it is whenever you're trying to balance it out. So now I'm gonna switch over to my Kat Von D tattoo liner. Do not feel like you have to use 2 different liners to create a wing. It's totally not necessary. I kind of already explained why I like to use 2 liners. Honestly, if this one didn't dry out so fast, I would just use it for the whole lid. And if this one was thinner, like the felt tip was thinner, I would totally use this one for the whole look, but that's just where we are. I'm working with what I have, so you work with what you have as well. Now, I'm changing my positioning, and this is really, really important for people who have hooded lids and people who have deep set eyes, and anyone that has a lot of wrinkles or folds on the outer portion of the eye here. Because if you are to keep looking down and you create the wing that way, you're gonna tilt your head up, and your wing is either gonna look a lot smaller or it's gonna look off, like it's gonna look a little bit wonky and it's not gonna look smooth. Now I can say that on this eye it folds more on the outer corner than it does on this eye, so I have to be a little bit more careful with how I create my wing on this side than I do on this side. This is my easy side. So I like to start with the harder side because it's easier to match whatever side you feel like you struggle with. So I'm gonna start on my left side, and what I'm gonna do, I might block the camera a little bit, but I'm gonna try not to, is I'm actually going to look straight ahead into my mirror, and I'm going to map out my wing looking straight ahead into the mirror. You'll kind of see what I'm talking about. This allows me to see how the wing is gonna look with my eyes open, because that's how everyone sees you, right? They see you with your eyes open like this. So I'm going to open my eyes and map out my wing that way, and then I can go in and fill it in and connect it to the rest of the line. So starting on my left side, I'm going to look straight ahead into the mirror and draw up and out. And I'm starting from the lower lash line, like the lower water line is where you want to start it. And go up and out. And this time I'm not using the side of it, I am using the tip of the pen. And as I get towards the end, I lighten up my pressure as much as possible to get a nice, thin, sharp wing. So then, once I have mapped out the bottom line of the liner, I'm going to tilt my head back and go in and connect it to the rest of that line. So once I've gone in and kind of connected it, I like to tilt my head back up, and I like a nice little, this would be like a little flick. If you want just like a little flick, you could leave it like that. But if you want just a little flick, you could leave it like that. But I like to have like a real like cat eye, I guess is what they would call it. And I like to have basically a little triangle on the side of my eye. So how I'm going to achieve that is I want it to connect, be the same thickness with the rest of the line here. So I'm going to draw it out from this line and connect it to the wing. So now I'm kind of doing a downward line. And it's okay if you want to thicken it a little bit to do this. It really just depends on how dramatic you're wanting your wing. I like to go pretty dramatic, so. Now I'm lifting my brows and I'm pulling that back to connect it to the rest of the eye. And what you really want to focus on whenever you are doing a winged liner is you want to focus on how it looks with your eyes open this way. Because mine, see how I have to do my liner because of the folds in my eye? It kind of looks like it's going like this, right? So if I want a thin line here and a thick line here, I have to keep in mind how my liner looks with my eyes open. Now I can balance it a little bit. I could probably fill this in a little bit more. Oh god, no, that was not what I meant to do. And then sometimes you just gotta take a little bit of concealer and clean up your line. So I'm just taking a small flat brush here. You can always use a little bit of concealer or makeup remover or whatever if you ever want to just go and clean up any mess ups. Don't feel like you're bad because of that. Now I'm just gonna repeat the same thing on the other eye. So just drawing up and out. Sorry, it's really hard to talk while I do this, I'm not gonna lie. It's not easy. So I'm just gonna draw up and out. Sometimes I won't even connect it first. I'll just go straight in if I know I'm going for a dramatic eye and get the shape that I want. And notice how I pull back into the eye to connect it. So I had my hand this way and now I'm flipping it this way. Always make sure to go back and lift my brows up so that it smooths out any creases and connect it. Alright, so that is pretty much it for the liner. I'm gonna go pop on some lashes and a lip color, and I will be right back and I'll talk a little bit more about some tips and tricks. So I am all done with my eyeliner. Now you could totally bring it underneath the eyes if you wanted to, maybe even line your waterline with a little bit of eyeliner. I feel like keeping it pretty simple today, so that's all I'm going to do. Simple. Dramatic winged liner, you know, simple. So just to kind of review all of the tips and tricks that I gave to you guys today, you want to make sure that you are looking down into a mirror whenever you are doing your winged eyeliner and that you are not closing your eyes. If you need to stretch out your eye a little bit because you have a more wrinkled eye or something like that, you could totally do that. I just wouldn't encourage doing that every single day. And then also making sure that you stabilize your hand, whether you're left-handed, right-handed, or whatever, making sure that you stabilize your hand so that you can get a nice clean crisp line. Making sure that you lay your pen on the side to allow the shape of the pen to kind of create the shape for you. And then whenever you get to the wing, using the tip of the pen and using very, very light pressure, and then kind of drawing it out and then connecting it back in. Now, even with all of those tips and tricks, I just want to say that winged liner definitely does take practice. I don't feel like I really nailed winged liner until, like, it took me several years of just like really sitting down and trying to figure it out, how to do it on my eye shape in particular. So the best thing that you can do is, rather than watching a million tutorials, even though tutorials are super helpful, is just practice. And one of the biggest things that can really help is practice right before you get in the shower. So if you're too timid to like wake up in the morning and do it to go to work because you're not sure how it's going to turn out, everybody's got to take a shower every once in a while, at least every once in a while. Now there are several different forms of liquid liners. With that, I'm not going to tell you what is best because it's totally personal preference. A lot of people do lean towards felt tips nowadays, but I do find that the ones that dip in last a little bit longer. However, the formula is a little bit thinner, so it can be harder to control. Doing it with a pencil, you're not going to get as much precision with a pencil. It's just the way that it is. You're probably not going to get as thin of a sharp line. You can get a soft wing with a pencil by kind of smudging it out into a wing, but you're not going to get like a crisp, precise line like this. So keep all that stuff in mind. Go and play with different formulations. Sephora lets you try on their eyeliners if you kind of want to find what shapes you like best. You can always try them on in store, or most makeup stores have a really good return policy. Most of the time, honestly though, whatever you learn to do the technique with is whatever you're going to become comfortable with. So if you start using a felt tip and you learn how to do the technique with the felt tip, using a little liquid dip liner is not going to feel comfortable for you. It's going to be a totally different experience. Or if you're used to doing it with a dip liner, using a felt tip is going to be different for you. So in my opinion, it just depends on what you learn to do it with. Yeah, I think that pretty much wraps it up for this little tutorial. Let me know what you guys would like to see next. I need some ideas for some looks. So let me know if there's any palettes that you want to see or any specific looks or anything like that. Leave those suggestions down in the comments below and I will get back to you. I cannot talk today because I never can talk. Yeah, leave those suggestions in the comments below and I will get back to you, and I will see you all in Wednesday's wear test. Thanks for watching. Bye. We could be